Clinton's former lover, Jennifer Flowers, who made some very explosive charges.
You claim that you became pregnant with Bill Clinton's baby.
I did become pregnant with Bill Clinton's baby.
Did you tell him?
Oh, of course I did.
And what was his reaction?
Well, he was very kind and sweet, but he didn't say, I'll divorce my wife and I'll marry you and we'll have this child together and everything will be great. It was something that I felt like I had to deal with. On my own, I had no intentions of raising a child by myself. And I made the decision to have an abortion. And that's something that I've had to live with every day of my life since.
The day after that interview aired, the show was canceled, and Richard Bey was giving his walking papers. Was that a coincidence? Richard Bey thinks not. And we're joined by former talk show host Richard Bey. Newsday columnist Hannity joins us. All right, now just to set this up.
Let me just say, let me get one thing straight in before we start here. I'm not saying
he's taking over the show again. Last time he choked Alan. And
I'm not saying Bill Clinton canceled my show.
No.
I'm saying I did this show. I knew it was, she hadn't been seen anywhere
got high
else.
ratings.
I got high ratings.
Won its time slot.
I started a new contract. You want to, can I back this up just a little bit? All right. At this period of time, I was wondering, how come I haven't seen Jennifer Flowers anywhere? Then I read in the trades she was booked on Rolanda. She shows up for the taping the day of, they canceled the show. Another woman who had claimed to have an affair with Bill Clinton was booked on Sally Jesse Raphael. She shows up for her taping. I read in the trade papers. They cancel her. So I call up Jennifer Flowers and I say, what the heck's going on? It's an election year. How come I haven't seen you anywhere? She said, every time I'm booked on something, every time I go somewhere to show up, they cancel me. Now, this is before the election, not after, but it's before Monica Lewinsky, where you see Jennifer Flowers everywhere. So I said, look, everybody thinks I'm an interview. I put her on the show. The next day, the show goes off the air.
You had high ratings for that show.
I had high ratings for that show. I just started a contract in September 1st. It's right before the November ratings. And one of the things that made me want to book her at that period of time as well was Gary Aldridge was booked on
ABC's then Brinkley show. Right.
Brinkley show.
And then
and the White House.
Stephanopoulos pressured them to, and the same thing happened on the Larry King show.
The same thing happened on the Larry King show.
And CNN capitulated.
Right.
And that's all true, and that's been documented.
Is it right for the government to try to pressure news information organizations to present a story in a certain way?
One of the marvelous things about Richard Bey is that he tells it like it is. And the fact of the matter is that there is no evidence they had anything to do with the cancellation. Talk shows get canceled all the time for all kinds of reasons.
And listen, people lose papers all the time. So the Rose Law Firm records just were replaced and turned up later.
It's not that all the good guys win. Has Clinton canceled you yet?
And we've not been canceled. You know, I was doing a nationally syndicated radio show around the time that you were doing that show, as you know. And
you didn't have Jennifer Flowers.
I did. I had her on a couple of times. They didn't cancel me.
Okay.
Why'd they cancel you?
Because nobody was listening to your show.
Everybody
was watching.
Flowers was on this very news and all kind of stuff that she was on.
That was another highly rated show, by the way.
In the same way.
What are you going to do about it now? I did it 2 weeks before the election. Why was Jennifer Flowers not on any talk show?
Do you think?
No, you come on.
Look, Richard,
let me ask you this. Wait. Stop for 1 minute.
Go ahead.
The Monica Lewinsky story. Isikoff has it set to go in Newsweek on Monday. Newsweek pulls the story.
Is still on television, by the way, isn't she?
Richard,
but you're not dealing with
let me ask you a question. Look,
did the government call ABC and tell them to cut the Gary Aldridge interview?
I'm a fan of yours. I think you're great.
I think
on our Arkansas affiliate.
What do you think happened? What happened?
I think that somebody got a phone call, not necessarily from the White House, but what's happening now is your sources of information, people sitting at home, your sources of information are owned by big companies. There's more that have to get FCC approval, FTC approval, and have to play ball with the government. That's why people should start to read again.
That's a good suggestion. Reading is a good thing. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and we will continue.
That people will call me with an idea for a project that would be something very high profile, and they'll get a telephone call and say, we would rather you not do this with Jennifer.
Do you think the administration, the organization, that they're still concerned about what you have to say? Do you still think that they're keeping an eye on you? Do you still think that they're keeping you from speaking? Do you still think that you're still a concern to them?
I think I'm a concern to them. I think that they know where I am and what I'm doing, and I'm sure they know I'm here with you today. You make it an audit this next go-round like I have.
They knew because everybody watched the Richard Bey show. We continue with former TV talk show host Richard Bey and Newsday columnist Hannity.
Bill Clinton was sitting
shows and opinions have ever gotten on the air, Richard?
Because he was reelected.
How did they get on?
It didn't matter after that.
Come on.
Plus, after the Monica story broke, the floodgates opened. Wait a second. You asked Jennifer Flowers how many shows she appeared on.
They've been regular Clinton bashing shows since before the guy was elected. In the first term, in the second term.
They weren't in the first term. Only on radio.
During the first term, he was in the lowest. He had,
not on television.
I went to Arkansas. You couldn't find somebody who said they ever voted for him for governor. He was 5 times he was governor. Nobody will say they voted.
All right, then what?
Listen.
What is it right for Stephanopoulos to call ABC and say, take this guy off the air? Is that right?
Of course it's not right.
Nobody should do that. And the point, let me tell you the point to stick with. The one about the media all getting run by a few companies is something worth worrying about. I mean, it really is true. There is a sameness to television programming that we all ought to fight against.
Juanita Broderick, she was promised the show would air that week.
But deal with
the show has never been delayed on Dateline before.
But deal with the specifics. Ellis, this happened. These people were spiked. These stories were spiked.
It was the hottest story in the country. Wait a second, folks. Just sit back and think about this. The hottest story in the country. A woman says Bill Clinton raped her, and they hold it for 3 weeks because they don't want ratings.
And by the way, and there's one other story. There's one other sidebar
after the impeachment here.
Right, the next night after the Juanita Broderick story aired, not one major news outlet. Tom Brokaw was his network. They didn't even report on it.
I guess the facts came
now, wait a second. Now, in the White House,
in light of cocaine and George W.
Is more concerned about controlling the media and distorting the facts.
I'm sure we'll do it again because, there'll probably be some...
In other countries, like Britain and Germany, they have a federal organization that sets the standards and code for television and says these are the rules. In Germany, you can't ambush a guest on a talk show. In Britain, you get a reprimand if you've overstepped the boundaries. Now, they
have been taken away just a few seconds.
You should have been fined.
Well, they do have this, but one thing they don't have is something we do have, which is the First Amendment. Now, we're going through a process recently where we're trying to gut and cut the Second Amendment to fit the style of the times. And now we want to cut and form the First Amendment to fit the style of the times.
Armstrong, one of the gentlemen running for president, I think he's going to run, George W. Bush, because there was a website on the internet that parodied him. He ordered it taken down. He went to the Federal Elections Commission and said there's too much freedom in this country.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,